Young Sheldon has been masterfully expanding the lore of The Big Bang Theory, and the next chapter in its journey is set to bring back one of its most beloved and pivotal characters, George Cooper Sr. As Georgie and Mandy navigate the complexities of their first marriage, George Sr.'s return presents a golden opportunity for some heartfelt and nostalgic storytelling. And while there are many ways the show could handle his comeback, there's one thing I'd love to see: an emotional, heartfelt moment where George Sr. gets to truly embrace his role as a father figure in Georgie's life. The long-awaited return of George Sr. The return of George Sr. is something fans have been yearning for, especially given his complex portrayal throughout the series. Initially seen through the jaded and sometimes scornful recollections of an older Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory, George Sr. has been given a much more nuanced and sympathetic portrayal in young Sheldon. We've seen him struggle as a father, a husband, and a coach, balancing the pressures of providing for his family with his own flaws and vulnerabilities. Now, with Georgie stepping into the role of a husband and father, it's the perfect time for George Sr. to show a side of himself that we haven't fully explored, a father who actively guides his son through the trials of adulthood. A father-son moment that sticks. One of the most powerful moments that could come out of George Sr.'s return is a scene where he sits down with Georgie and imparts some fatherly wisdom, something that Georgie desperately needs. Georgie has always been the entrepreneurial, street-smart Cooper kid, but maturity has never been his strong suit. Watching him navigate fatherhood and marriage is already proving to be a challenging task, and who better to guide him than his own father? I imagine a scene where Georgie, overwhelmed by the responsibilities of being a young husband and dad, finds himself seeking advice from his father. Maybe he's worried about failing Mandy, about not being able to provide for their family, or simply about the fear of not being a good dad. George Sr., in his usual calm and measured way, could offer Georgie reassurance, perhaps even admitting to his own fears when he first became a father. The power of reflection. What would make this scene even more powerful is the weight of future knowledge that fans already carry. We know that George Sr. doesn't have a lot of time left. This could be one of the last great moments between father and son, a chance for the show to deliver an emotional gut punch in the best way possible. It could be the moment where George Sr. tells Georgie he's proud of him, not just in passing, but in a deeply meaningful way. Fans have long debated whether George Sr. was truly appreciated in his own lifetime, and this moment would go a long way in reaffirming his role as a good father. How this could strengthen Georgie's arc. One of the best things about Georgie's character development in young Sheldon is his slow but steady transition from a carefree, money-driven teenager to a responsible, albeit struggling, young adult. If George Sr. is brought back in a way that allows for this kind of heartfelt interaction, it could serve as a defining moment in Georgie's arc, one that shapes him into the man we know he eventually becomes. In The Big Bang Theory, Georgie is shown to have a complicated relationship with his family, particularly with Sheldon. However, by the time we meet him as an adult, he has taken on a protective role, proving that he learned how to be a provider and a caretaker in his own way. A poignant moment with his father could be the catalyst that solidifies this transformation. A chance for redemption. Another beautiful layer to this potential storyline is how it could serve as a form of redemption for George Sr. In The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon often spoke of his father in a less than flattering light, painting him as a negligent and unfaithful man. However, young Sheldon has done an excellent job of showing a more rounded and realistic portrayal of him, one that acknowledges his flaws but also highlights his love for his family. By giving George Sr. one last meaningful conversation with his eldest son, the show could further cement his legacy as a man who, despite his struggles, truly cared about his children. A foreshadowing of what's to come. Given what we know about George Sr.'s fate, This scene could also serve as a foreshadowing of the emotional turmoil that lies ahead for the Cooper family. It could set the stage for the inevitable heartbreak of his passing, making it all the more poignant when it eventually happens. A well-written father-son moment now would add depth and emotional weight to future episodes, ensuring that his character's departure leaves a lasting impact. Final thoughts. Bringing back George Sr. for Georgie and Mandy's marriage arc is a brilliant move, and the potential for emotionally charged storytelling is immense. While there are many directions the writers could take, my hope is that they give us a moment that truly honors George Sr.'s role as a father. Seeing George Sr. sit down with Georgie, offering him advice, sharing a laugh, or even just a simple, "I'm proud of you, son," that's the moment I'd love to see. Not just for Georgie's sake, but for George Sr.'s legacy, and for all of us who have come to appreciate the complexity of his character. If young Sheldon can deliver that, it will be one of the most touching and memorable moments in the entire series.